Hi, everyone. Welcome in. Thank you for joining me today, and happy Monday to all. So, we got some exciting stuff to talk about today. So, we had a major breakthrough between US and China trade negotiations over the weekend, and looks like we have a preliminary deal between the two countries where so far the US and China have agreed to pause or significantly reduce tariffs on each other for 90 days and eventually have a permanent deal in place. And because of those news, the stock market is rallying and skyrocketing today. So, very good stuff to talk about today. So, I think we're going to break this down into three different sections. Number one, we're going to take a look at a few news articles that talk about the trade deal and just some key points. Number two, we're going to take a look at the major indexes, so Dow Jones, S&P 500, and NASDAQ, and see how they're performing. And also, we'll take a look at some specific stocks to see how they're doing today as a result of the news. And number three, I'm going to give my opinion and just thoughts about the news, about the stock market, and just what I think is going to happen going forward. So, amazing day today for the stock market and for investors. So, let's go ahead and jump into it. Before we do get started, I would like to mention that on my YouTube channel, I do create content about money, sports, and personal topics with the goal of bringing value to other people's lives. So if you guys find value in the videos that I create, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel so that I can continue making these videos. All right, let's go ahead and get started. All right, let's go ahead and look through some of these articles. So the first one mentions Dow sees huge surge as US stocks open strong on trade deal with China. US stocks opened sharply higher after the US announced a trade deal with China. The US and China put a 90-day pause on most of the tariffs the countries had imposed on one another. Effective from Wednesday, the US will temporarily reduce tariffs on China to 30%, down from 145%, and China will reduce tariffs on US goods to 10%, down from 125%. This was a larger than expected de-escalation, though the negotiation process will likely remain challenging. All right, so that's a significant, de-escalation in the tariffs and the percentages. So that's why the stock market is rallying and skyrocketing today. So this is a very good day for investors. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said on Monday morning he expected to meet with Chinese officials again in coming weeks to further discuss trade. A deal with China, one of the US's top trading partners, is seen as a relief for investors who worried tariffs as high as 145% would severely limit trade, raise prices, and hurt the US economy. All right. Let's take a look at this other article. What's in China US trade deal? Tariff cuts and key details. So we see the US Secretary of Treasury here, Scott Bessent. So this up at the top just mentions again that the tariffs percentages went all the way down from 145 to 30 and 125 to 10 on China's side. So that's significant de-escalation. Tariffs are coming down, but unevenly and not to zero. So this pretty much mentions the same thing. Chinese products ranging from electric vehicles, steel, and aluminum will also still face separate tariffs imposed over the past several years. Trade war truce rolls back bulk of April tariffs. However, the deal leaves in place tariffs and other countermeasures imposed before April 2nd. So this chart just kind of shows pre-deal percentages compared to post-deal. We can see the significant reduction there in both countries. And this also mentions that some non-tariff barriers paused. China also committed to removing non-tariff countermeasures imposed against the US since April 2nd, although it remains unclear how some of these measures will be walked back. All right, let's see if there's a couple of other good articles here. US and China agreed to drastically roll back tariffs in major trade breakthrough. So all of these articles are going to pretty much mention similar things. This article mentions that Dow futures were up more than 2%, S&P up 3%, and NASDAQ up around 3.5%. Also, this mentions this is clearly just the start of a broader and more comprehensive negotiations, and we would expect both these tariff numbers to move down markedly over the coming months as deal talks progress. So this is just kind of a start to the actual trade deal. The consensus from both delegations is neither side wants to be decoupled, and what have occurred with these very high tariffs was an equivalent of an embargo, and neither side wants that. We do want trade, we want more balance in trade, and I think both sides are committed to achieving that. So very good stuff there as well. US China trade deal turns back clock on tariffs. S&P 500 soars, but risks remain. US China deal shrinks recession risk. Trump tariffs on specific industries remain. More good US China trade news to come? Question mark. All right. And this is the last article we'll take a look at. The key takeaways of the trade deal. Again, mentions pretty much the same stuff. Beijing's Commerce Ministry said the agreement was an important step in resolving the differences between the US and China, but it went a bit further, hoping that the US will thoroughly correct the wrong practices of unilateral tariff increases. All right. So next, let's go ahead and take a look at the stock market, the major indexes, and some stocks. See how they're doing today. All right, let's see what the stock market is up to today. All right, so on the first page here, we see Dow Jones is up over 880 points. It's up over 2%. S&P 500 up 143 points, up over 2.5%. NASDAQ is up over 600 points. It's up over 3%. So very, very, very good day today in the stock market. Let's just take a look at each specific index here and the charts on them. So this is the one-day chart. Dow is above 42,000 over 5 days. So we can see this was on Friday, and then the significant jump here Monday from the trade deal that happened over the weekend. So very impressive jump in one day. 1 month chart, 3 month chart, year to date, 1 year chart. So we had, solid growth throughout the year. And then in March, and more particularly in April, we had a significant decline with the tariffs. Now, a month and a half later, we have a trade deal in place, and the stock market has recovered nicely since the April lows. So that's very good to see, and should continue to go up from here even more. So very good to see. This is the 3 year chart. So again, consistent growth over the years. We have the tariffs situation coming in March or April. Stock market goes down significantly. So if you bought in at these levels, you're a very happy investor now. A month and a half later, we're in May. The stock has recovered nicely, the stock market, and we have a trade deal between the two countries. So the stock market should just continue to recover and get back to these previous highs that it was at before. So we'll be on the lookout for that. 5 year chart, max. All right. Let's look at the S&P 500. It's going to look similar since these indexes are similar. 1 day chart, 5 days. We see the significant jump from May 9th to today, May 12th. 1 month, 3 months, 1 year. Same story on S&P 500. It's grown nicely over the past year. We had a significant dip in April, again with the tariffs. Month and a half later, we have a trade deal in place between US and China. The stock market has recovered nicely, and it's going to continue to recover. If you bought in at these April lows, April 7th, April 21st, you're a very happy investor now, and will continue to be a very happy investor going forward. 3 years, 5 years. Over 5 years, all this growth right here. We had a little recessionary period in 2022. In 2023 until now, the stock market has gone up significantly. We just went through this April correctionary period again with the tariffs. We have recovered nicely and will continue to recover nicely. If you bought in again at these April lows, you're a very happy investor. All right. Just look at the max. And now we're going to jump over to the NASDAQ. 1 day chart. It's going to look very similar. 5 days. Significant jump from May 9th to today, May 12th. 1 month. 1 year. And this is a very impressive looking chart for the NASDAQ. Over 3 years, it's gone up significantly. Same situation here. We just went through the April correction due to the tariffs. If you bought in April, the stock market has recovered very nicely since then. We now have a trade deal in place, and it should continue to go up from here. So looks like April was an amazing buying opportunity for investors. So if you were a wise investor, you would have invested in April, and you're benefiting now. 5 year chart, similar story, and the max. All right. Let's look at some specific stocks to see what they're up to today. All right, we got Alphabet up over $3 today, up 2.4%. So good day there. And the stock should continue to recover even more from the bad news that it had last week. Let's take a look at Meta. Meta is up 6.5% today. I want to look at the 5-year chart for Meta. So again, the stock was all the way up in the 730 range, and then it went down all the way to around 480 in April, below 500 here. So if you bought in at these levels in April, the stock has gone up significantly since then and should continue to just go up from here. Apple up over 5% today. Microsoft is up about 1% today. And a stock that's having a really good day today is Amazon. So it's up over 7% today. So very good to see that. So we can take a look at the chart here. So the stock was up all the way up in the 230s, 240s. It went down significantly the last couple months. And then in April, if you got in and bought the stock in April, the stock has recovered very nicely since then and should continue to recover even further with the US China trade deal. So, very good day today in the stock market and with these particular stocks. So, next, I'm just going to kind of summarize and give my opinion about the news and the stock market. All right, so let's just go ahead and summarize what we took a look at today. So, number one, we took a look at some news articles that talked about the US China trade deal. So, over the weekend, the US and China agreed to pause or significantly reduce the tariffs that they had on each other for 90 days. And this is just kind of the beginning of the actual trade deal. So there's going to be even more, trade details to come going forward. So this has been highly watched and highly anticipated news that we were waiting for. So we finally have a breakthrough there. Number two, we took a look at the stock market indexes and some stocks, and we saw that they're significantly up today, and they're having one of the best days in recent history, and it should just continue to go up from here. All right, so I just kind of want to share my thoughts and opinions about what's going on. So, as I kind of imagined, before April, the stock market was doing fine. But in April, Trump announced Liberation Day with all the tariffs that he imposed all the different countries and, most importantly on China. And that caused the stock market to go down significantly in April. And my thought process was, this is just temporary and that Trump is doing this just to have some leverage in trade negotiations with China and other countries, with the ultimate goal of just trying to get better trade deals for the US. And I thought April was an amazing buying opportunity, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos. So looks like that's what turned out to happen. So in April, we had the stock market go down significantly, and looks like it bottomed out, whether it was April 7th or April 21st. Nonetheless, April was a very, very good buying opportunity. So now, a month or month and a half later, we have a breakthrough in the US and China trade deal, and the stock market has gone up significantly since the April lows. and significantly today. So this is kind of what I was waiting for the stock market to recover significantly, for there to be a trade deal in place. And if you invested money in April in the stock market, you're a very happy investor now, today, and you will continue to be a very happy investor in the coming weeks and months and years. So this was amazing, really, what happened in the stock market the last couple months. I hope you guys took advantage and invested in April, and I hope you're benefiting, from the recent recovery that the stock market has had. So just from here, I mean, my expectation is that the stock market would just, steadily continue to go up even further, to go back to the previous highs that it was at before the trade war with China. And, just within the coming years, I expect the stock market just to continue to go up. Things are looking very good in the global economy. And also, I think Trump is going to have tax cuts in the future as well, which is going to be great for the stock market. So just I'm very, very bullish on the stock market. I think this was an amazing news that just happened. And, you know, I think there's just green lights from here in the stock market. So I hope you guys have taken advantage. All right, guys, that's really all I wanted to share for today. If you guys found value in this video, consider subscribing to my YouTube channel so that I can continue making these videos. And good luck with your investing. Take care.